Maya Rodriguez wiped the sweat from her forehead as she finished checking the mining laser calibration. The deep space mining station Epsilon 7 hummed quietly around her, its metal walls vibrating with the steady rhythm of the ore processors. She had been working on this remote station for 2 years now, far from Earth and far from the memories she wanted to forget. The work was simple and predictable, just the way she liked it. The communication panel on her workbench crackled too. Life. Captain Barnes' voice came through the speakers with his usual tired tone. Maya, we have visitors coming in today. 2 aliens from different species. They want to see how our mining operation works. You need to show them around. Maya sighed and put down her tools. She did not like dealing with visitors, especially alien ones. She preferred machines to people. Machines were logical and did what you told them to do. People were complicated and unpredictable. But orders were orders, and she needed this job. She made her way to the main docking bay, passing through the narrow corridors of the station. The walls were lined with pipes and cables, all painted the same dull gray color. Emergency lights blinked at regular intervals, casting shadows that danced as she walked. The station was not beautiful, but it was functional, and Maya appreciated that. When she reached the docking bay, she saw a small shuttle had already landed. 2 figures stepped out, and Maya had to stop and stare. She had seen pictures of other alien species before, but never in person. The first alien was tall and graceful, with pointed ears and long silver hair that seemed to catch light even in the dim bay. Her skin was pale like moonlight, and her eyes were a deep blue that reminded Maya of the ocean back on Earth. She wore flowing robes that looked like they were made from starlight itself. This had to be the elf that Captain Barnes had mentioned. The second alien was completely different. She was shorter but much more muscular, with green-scaled skin and yellow eyes that moved constantly, watching everything. She wore dark armor that looked both functional and expensive. Maya could see weapons attached to her belt, and the way she moved suggested she knew how to use them. The elf stepped forward first, her movements smooth and elegant. I am Lyrelei Starweaver of the Celestial Courts. She spoke with an accent that Maya could not place, but her English was perfect. We have traveled far to learn about human mining techniques. The scaled alien nodded respectfully. I am Zara Kethvar of the Krillian Empire. My people are interested in trade agreements with humanity. Maya felt awkward in her simple work clothes and dirty boots. These beings looked like they belonged in royal courts or military headquarters, not on a mining station in the middle of nowhere. My name is Maya Rodriguez. I am the chief engineer here. Captain Barnes asked me to show you around. Lyrelei looked around the docking bay with curiosity. Her eyes seemed to take in every detail, from the cargo containers to the maintenance equipment. This is very different from what I expected. Where I come from, we use magic to shape stone and metal. We do not need such heavy machinery. Zara made a sound that might have been laughter. Magic is useful, but technology is more reliable. My people build ships that can cross galaxies and weapons that can destroy asteroids. But even we are curious about human methods. Maya felt even more out of place. These aliens came from civilizations that sounded far more advanced than anything humans had achieved. What could they possibly want to learn from a simple mining operation? Follow me. I will show you how we extract ore from the asteroids. She led them through the station, explaining the basic processes as they walked. The elves do not mine at all, Lyrelei explained as they passed the ore processing center. We ask the Earth to give us what we need, and it provides. It is a partnership between our magic and the natural world. That sounds inefficient, Zara commented. How much metal can you gather that way? Lyrelei smiled. Enough for our needs. We do not require vast quantities of materials like some species. Dumaya showed them the main control room, where banks of computers monitored the mining operations. Automated systems tracked dozens of mining drones as they worked on nearby asteroids. The drones cut and collected ore, then brought it back to the station for processing. This is impressive for such a young species, Zara said, studying the displays. How long have humans been mining in space? Only about 50 years, Maya replied. We are still learning. 50 years? Lyrelei sounded surprised. My people have been working with metals for thousands of years. You have accomplished much in such a short time. Maya felt a small surge of pride. Humans might not have magic or advanced technology, but they were resourceful. They found ways to solve problems with whatever tools they had available. As they continued the tour, Maya noticed that both aliens seemed genuinely interested in the operation. Lyrelai asked questions about how the machines worked without magic, to guide them. Zara wanted to know about the efficiency rates and safety procedures. Neither of them acted superior or dismissive, which surprised Maya. They were examining the main mining laser array when the alarm sounded. The sharp, piercing noise echoed through the station corridors. Red lights began flashing, and the computer systems automatically shifted to emergency mode. Maya ran to the nearest communication panel. "What is happening?" Captain Barnes' voice came through, tense and worried. Long-range sensors picked up a ship approaching fast. "It is not responding to our communications, and the signature does not match any known friendly vessels." Zara immediately became alert, her hand moving to her weapon. "What type of ship?" "Unknown design," Barnes replied. "But it is big, and it is armed." Maya felt a cold fear in her stomach. Epsilon 7 was a civilian mining station with minimal defenses. If someone wanted to attack them, there was little they could do to stop it. The lights flickered as something hit the station hard. The impact sent vibrations through the metal structure, and Maya had to grab onto a support beam to keep her balance. "They are jamming our communications," Barnes announced. "All external systems are going offline." Lyrelai closed her eyes and seemed to concentrate. "Something is coming aboard. I can sense it, something that feels wrong, like a shadow where light should be." The emergency lighting cast everything in a red glow as another impact shook the station. Maya realized that their peaceful tour had just become something much more dangerous. Whatever was on that approaching ship, it was not here to talk. The station shuddered again as another blast hit the outer hull. Maya checked the emergency systems panel, her hands moving quickly over the controls. The main power was holding, but several backup systems had already failed. Through the reinforced windows, she could see a dark shape moving against the stars. "That is a Vorthak raider ship," Zara said, her voice tight with concern. She had drawn her weapon, a sleek plasma rifle that hummed with energy. "My people have fought them before. They do not come to destroy stations. They come to take prisoners." "Prisoners?" Maya asked, though she was afraid she already knew the answer. "The Vorthak run illegal fighting arenas across the galaxy," Lyrelai explained. Her graceful demeanor had changed, and now she held herself like a warrior ready for battle. "They capture strong beings from different species and force them to fight for entertainment. Those who survive become valuable slaves." Maya felt her blood turn cold. She had heard rumors about such things in the outer sectors, but had never believed they were real. The communication system crackled with static, then went completely silent. Whatever the Vorthak had done to disable their defenses, it was thorough and professional. The lights went out completely for a moment, then emergency power kicked in. The red glow made everything look like a scene from a nightmare. Maya could hear crew members running through the corridors, their footsteps echoing off the metal walls. "They will send a hunter," Zara continued, checking her weapon charge. "The Vorthak use bioengineered creatures called apex predators. These things are designed for one purpose only, to capture live prey without killing them." "What do they look like?" Maya asked. "Imagine your worst nightmare. Then make it 12 feet tall and give it claws that can cut through steel," Lyrelai replied. She had begun to glow with a soft silver light, and Maya could feel power gathering around the elf like electricity before a storm. The station shook once more. Then everything became quiet. The sudden silence was more frightening than the noise had been. Maya checked the sensors, but most of them were dead. Only the internal security cameras were still working. There, Zara pointed at one of the monitors. A section of the outer hull was glowing red-hot. "Something is cutting through." Maya watched as a perfect circle was carved out of the metal plating. Sparks flew as the hull breach widened, then a dark shape pushed through the opening. The creature that emerged was everything the aliens had described, and worse. The apex predator stood over 12 feet tall, its body a horrible mixture of flesh and machine. Its hide was covered in dark armor plates that reflected the emergency lights like black mirrors. Its arms ended in claws that were longer than Maya's fingers, and its head was a nightmare of teeth and glowing red eyes. The creature moved with the fluid grace of a natural predator, but there was something wrong about it, something that made Maya's skin crawl. "It is scanning for life signs," Zara whispered. "The Vorthak programmed them to capture specific types of prey. It will hunt down everyone on the station." Maya watched in horror as the creature moved through the corridors. On the security monitors, she could see crew members trying to hide or run. The predator found them easily, moving through the station like it had detailed maps of every room and passage. When it encountered its first victim, Maya saw how the creature operated. Instead of killing, it pressed something against the man's neck. There was a brief flash of blue light, and the crew member collapsed. The predator picked up the unconscious man and carried him back toward the hull breach. "Stun device," Zara explained grimly. "They want their prisoners alive and undamaged." Lyrelay raised her hands, and the silver light around her grew brighter. Ancient words flowed from her lips in a language Maya did not recognize. The elf's eyes blazed with starlight as she called upon magic that was older than human civilization. A beam of pure silver energy shot from Lyrelay's hands toward the security monitor showing the predator. The spell passed through the camera and struck the creature in the corridor beyond. Maya expected to see the monster destroyed, but instead it merely stumbled and looked annoyed. The energy beam had left a small scorch mark on the creature's armor plating. Nothing more. The predator turned toward the camera and seemed to smile, showing rows of metal teeth. "Impossible," Lyrelay breathed. "That spell should have reduced it to ash." "Bioengineered resistance," Zara said, raising her plasma rifle. "The Vorthak designed these things to hunt specific prey. They must have encountered elven magic before." Zara fired through the corridor wall, her plasma bolts burning through metal and striking the predator. The energy weapons were more effective than Lyrelay's magic, leaving deeper burns on the creature's hide. But even military-grade plasma rifles only seemed to slow it down. The predator roared, a sound like tearing metal that echoed through the station. It began moving faster, no longer bothering to be stealthy. The creature had located them and was coming directly for their position. "We need to move," Maya said, grabbing emergency supplies from the storage lockers. "The mining levels. There are places to hide down there." They ran through the corridors as alarms wailed around them. Behind them, Maya could hear the predator tearing through obstacles, its claws ripping apart anything in its path. The creature was faster than anything that size should be, gaining on them with every step. Lyrelay tried casting another spell as they ran, this one calling upon the power of growing things. Vines made of pure energy wrapped around the predator's legs, but it simply tore through them like they were made of paper. "Your magic is powerful," Zara said between breaths, "but this thing was built to counter supernatural abilities." "Then what do we do?" Lyrelay asked. "In all my centuries, I have never encountered anything that could resist elven magic so completely." Maya led them to a maintenance shaft that connected to the lower levels. As they climbed down, she could hear the predator above them, searching, room by room. The creature was methodical and patient, checking every possible hiding place. When they reached the mining levels, Maya sealed the access hatch behind them. It would not stop the predator for long, but it might buy them a few minutes to think. The mining levels were darker and more industrial than the upper sections of the station. Massive machines stood silent in the shadows, their metal surfaces reflecting the dim emergency lighting. The air smelled of oil and ozone. "This is where we process the raw ore," Maya explained quietly. "These machines can cut through asteroid rock like it was soft clay." Zara examined one of the laser cutters. "Impressive tools, but they are designed for stationary targets." "That predator moves too fast." Maya nodded, but something was nagging at her mind. She had spent years working with these machines, learning their capabilities and limitations. There had to be something they could use. The sound of tearing metal echoed from above. The predator had found the maintenance shaft and was making its own entrance. They had run out of time to plan. The creature dropped through the ceiling like a living shadow, landing silently despite its massive size. In the red emergency lighting, it looked even more terrifying than before. Its glowing eyes swept the mining level, searching for its prey. Maya, Lyrelay, and Zara pressed themselves against the machinery, trying to stay hidden in the shadows. But Maya knew it was hopeless. The predator had sensors that could track them anywhere. It was only a matter of time before they were found and captured. The creature moved between the mining machines like a hunter stalking deer. Each step brought it closer to their hiding place. Maya could hear its breathing, a mechanical sound that seemed more machine than animal. She closed her eyes and tried to think. There had to be something they were missing, some weakness they could exploit. The predator was designed to be perfect, but nothing was truly perfect. Everything had flaws if you knew where to look. Maya pressed herself against the cold metal of the ore processor, trying to control her breathing. The predator was only 20 feet away now, moving between the mining equipment with deadly purpose. Its glowing red eyes swept back and forth as it searched for them. Beside her, Lyrelay whispered another spell under her breath. This time, instead of attacking, she was trying to hide them with illusion magic. A shimmer of silver light surrounded the three women, bending light around them like a cloak of invisibility. The predator stopped walking, its head turned directly toward their hiding spot, and Maya felt her heart skip a beat. But then the creature looked away and continued its search in a different direction. The elven magic was working, at least for now. "We cannot hide forever," Zara whispered, so quietly that Maya could barely hear her. "That thing will find us eventually. These hunting beasts are very patient." Maya studied the predator as it moved through the mining level. Something about its behavior was bothering her, but she could not figure out what. The creature was incredibly dangerous and seemed almost unstoppable, but there was a pattern to how it moved. "Wait," Maya said softly. "Look at where it goes and where it does not go." The other two women watched carefully as the predator continued its hunt. The creature checked behind most of the mining equipment, but Maya noticed it avoided certain areas completely. It stayed away from the main power coupling station and seemed reluctant to go near the electromagnetic ore separator. It avoids the high-energy areas, Maya realized. The electromagnetic fields from our equipment. It does not like them. Lyrelay nodded slowly. That makes sense. If it is part machine, strong electromagnetic pulses could disrupt its systems. But how do we use that against it? Zara asked. Those machines are not weapons. They are tools for processing rock. Maya's mind was racing. She had spent 2 years learning every detail of the mining operation. She knew exactly how much power each machine used and what kind of electromagnetic signatures they produced. An idea was forming, but it seemed almost too simple to work. "The mining laser array," she whispered. "If I can modify the focusing crystals and redirect the beam through the electromagnetic separator, I can create a massive pulse of energy. Would that be enough to stop it?" Lyrelay asked. Maya was not sure. The predator was designed to resist energy weapons, but the mining equipment was much more powerful than any rifle or spell. The problem was that the machines were not designed to work together in the way she was imagining. "I need to get to the main control station," Maya said. "It is on the other side of the level past where that thing is hunting." "That is suicide," Zara said firmly. "The moment you move, it will detect you. Then you need to create a distraction," Maya replied. "Draw it away from the control station, long, enough for me to make the modifications." Zara checked her weapon charge again. Her plasma rifle still had enough energy for several shots, but they had already seen how little effect it had on the predator. "I can try, but I do not know how long I can keep it busy." "I will help," Lyrelay said. "My magic may not be able to harm it directly, but I can create illusions and confusion." Maya felt a surge of gratitude toward these two aliens who barely knew her, but were willing to risk their lives to help. She had spent so long avoiding close relationships, but now she realized how much she had been missing. "Give me 5 minutes to reach the control station and start the modifications," Maya said. "Then do whatever you can to bring it into the main chamber. I need it to be standing right in the center when I activate the system." Zara nodded grimly. 5 minutes. We will be there." Maya waited until the predator was facing away from them, then slipped out from behind the ore processor. She moved as quietly as possible, staying low and using the shadows for cover. The control station was across an open area, where there would be no place to hide if the creature spotted her. Behind her, she heard Zara and Lyrelay preparing for their distraction. The elf was gathering magical energy, while the Krillian warrior checked her equipment one final time. Maya felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. If her plan failed, all three of them would be captured or worse. She reached the edge of the open area and paused. The predator was still searching the far side of the chamber, but it would only take a moment for it to turn around and see her. Maya took a deep breath and sprinted across the gap. The control station was protected by a reinforced barrier, but Maya had the access codes. She slipped inside and immediately began working on the mining laser controls. The system was complex, with dozens of variables that needed to be adjusted perfectly. First, she rerouted power from the ore processors to the laser array. The mining lasers were designed to cut through solid rock, which required enormous amounts of focused energy. Next, she modified the targeting system to aim the lasers at the electromagnetic separator instead of the asteroids outside. The hardest part was adjusting the frequency modulation. Maya needed to create a pulse that would overload the Predator's biomechanical systems without destroying the station itself. She had done similar calculations before when calibrating the mining equipment, but never under this kind of pressure. From across the chamber, she heard the sound of plasma fire. Zara had begun her distraction, shooting at the Predator to get its attention. The creature roared in response, a sound that made the metal walls vibrate. Maya's hands flew over the controls, making final adjustments to the laser array. She could see Zara and Lyrelay on the security monitors, working together to lead the Predator toward the main chamber. Zara was using hit-and-run tactics, firing then moving to a new position before the creature could catch her. Lyrelay was creating multiple illusions of herself, confusing the Predator about which target to pursue. The creature kept swiping at images that vanished when its claws passed through them. Maya was impressed by how well the two aliens worked together, despite coming from completely different worlds. The Predator was getting closer to the center of the main chamber, but Maya's modifications were not ready yet. She needed more time to synchronize the laser array with the electromagnetic separator. The timing had to be perfect, or the whole plan would fail. Zara's plasma rifle finally ran out of charge. Maya watched on the monitor as the Krillian warrior threw the useless weapon aside and drew a blade instead. The sword glowed with its own energy, probably some kind of advanced technology that Maya did not understand. The Predator lunged at Zara, its massive claws reaching for her. But the warrior was fast and well-trained, rolling aside at the last moment. The creature's claws gouged deep furrows in the metal floor where she had been standing. Lyrelay sent another blast of silver energy at the Predator, not trying to damage it but simply to annoy it and keep its attention focused on them instead of searching for Maya. The creature turned toward the elf, its red eyes blazing with mechanical fury. Maya's modifications were almost complete. She had successfully linked the laser array to the electromagnetic separator, and the power levels were building toward the massive discharge she needed. But something was wrong with the targeting system. The computers were having trouble calculating the precise angle needed to create the electromagnetic pulse. She could hear the battle raging in the main chamber. Zara and Lyrelay were fighting for their lives against an enemy that seemed almost impossible to defeat. Maya knew they could not hold out much longer. The targeting calculations finally locked into place. Maya's finger hovered over the activation switch as she watched the monitors. The Predator was in the right position, standing almost exactly in the center of the main chamber. Now or never, Maya whispered to herself. She activated the modified mining laser array and prayed that her plan would work. Maya's finger pressed the activation switch. For a split second, nothing seemed to happen. The mining laser array hummed as power built up in the focusing crystals, but the sound was no different from the normal operation she had heard thousands of times before. In the main chamber, the Predator had caught Zara's energy blade with one massive claw. The Krillian warrior struggled to pull her weapon free, but the creature was too strong. Lyrelay was preparing another spell, silver light gathering around her hands like captured starlight. Then the modified laser system fired. Instead of the usual single beam that would cut through asteroid rock, Maya's modifications created something completely different. The laser energy struck the electromagnetic separator and was instantly transformed into a focused pulse of electromagnetic radiation. The pulse was invisible to the naked eye, but its effects were immediate and devastating. The Predator froze, in place as if someone had suddenly turned off a switch. Its glowing red eyes flickered once, then went completely dark. The creature's massive body swayed for a moment, then collapsed to the metal floor with a crash that shook the entire level. Zara stared at the fallen creature in shock, her energy blade still humming in her hand. Lyrelay let the gathered magic fade from her fingers as she looked at the motionless predator. Neither of them could believe what they had just witnessed. Maya emerged from the control station, her legs shaking from adrenaline and relief. The electromagnetic pulse had worked exactly as she had hoped. The predator's biomechanical nervous system had been completely overloaded by the focused energy discharge. "Is it dead?" Lyrelay asked, approaching the fallen creature cautiously. Maya knelt beside the predator and checked for any signs of activity. The creature's armor plating was still intact, but all the electronic components she could see had been fried by the electromagnetic pulse. Even its mechanical breathing had stopped. "Not dead," Maya said, "but completely shut down. Its biological parts are still alive, but the technological systems that controlled it are destroyed." Zara sheathed her energy blade and walked over to examine Maya's handiwork. "In all my years as a warrior, I have never seen anything like that. How did you know it would work?" Maya stood up and wiped her hands on her work clothes. "Everything has a weakness. This creature was designed to resist direct attacks, but the Vorthak made it dependent on its technological systems. When I overloaded those systems, the biological parts could not function on their own." Lyrelay was still staring at the fallen predator in amazement. "In my 800 years of life, I have seen many forms of power, magic that can move mountains, technology that can destroy planets, but I have never witnessed anything quite like this." Maya felt embarrassed by the attention. It was just basic engineering. "I noticed the creature avoided areas with strong electromagnetic fields, so I figured it must be vulnerable to them. The mining equipment here generates much more powerful fields than any weapon." "Just basic engineering," Zara repeated with what might have been laughter. "You defeated an apex predator in less than 3 seconds using mining tools. My people will find this very difficult to believe." The station's communication systems crackled back to life as the Vorthak jamming signals faded. Captain Barnes' voice came through the speakers, urgent and worried. "Maya, are you there? We lost contact with the raider ship. It just turned around and left without warning." Maya walked to the nearest communication panel. "We are here, Captain. The threat has been neutralized." "Neutralized? How?" Barnes asked. "Our sensors showed that thing was designed to be unstoppable." Maya looked at her 2 alien companions. Zara was checking the predator to make sure it was truly disabled, while Lyrelay was studying the mining equipment with new interest. Both of them seemed to see her differently now, though Maya was not sure she understood why. "We work together," Maya said simply. "Sometimes the best solutions are the ones nobody expects." Over the next few hours, the station crew worked to repair the damage from the Vorthak attack. The hull breach was sealed, and the systems that had been damaged by the electromagnetic pulse were gradually brought back online. Maya made sure to restore the mining equipment to its normal configuration before anyone asked too many questions about her modifications. Lyrelay spent most of the time asking Maya detailed questions about human technology. The elf seemed fascinated by the idea that such powerful effects could be achieved without any magic at all. She wanted to understand how Maya had known exactly which modifications to make. "It was not magic," Maya explained as they sat in the station cafeteria. "It was just listening to what the machines were telling me. Every piece of equipment has its own personality, its own way of working. When you spend enough time with them, you learn to understand what they can and cannot do. But how did you know the electromagnetic pulse would disable the creature?" Lyrelay asked. "You had no way to test your theory beforehand." Maya shrugged. "Sometimes you have to make educated guesses based on the information you have." The predator avoided electromagnetic fields, which suggested they interfered with its systems. The mining equipment could generate much stronger fields than anything else on the station. It seemed worth trying. Zara joined them at the table, carrying a formal-looking document. "Maya, I have been authorized by the Krillian Empire to offer you a position in our military research division. Your tactical thinking and technical skills would be highly valued." Maya shook her head politely. "Thank you, but I prefer working with machines to fighting wars." "The Celestial Courts would also welcome you," Lyrelay added. "We could teach you to enhance your engineering abilities with magic. The combination could accomplish amazing things." Again, Maya declined. I appreciate the offers, but I like my job here. It is simple and honest work. Both aliens seemed puzzled by her response. They came from civilizations where power and advancement were highly prized. The idea that someone would choose to remain in a humble position when greater opportunities were available was difficult for them to understand. But Maya knew what she wanted. She had tried the life of adventure and excitement once before, back when she was in the military. That path had led to consequences she still regretted. Here on the mining station, she could use her skills to build things instead of destroying them. The Vorthak ship had disappeared completely from sensor range, probably returning to whatever dark corner of the galaxy it had come from. Word of the Predator's defeat would spread quickly through the criminal networks. Maya suspected that Epsilon 7 would not be bothered by raiders again anytime soon. As Lorelei and Zara prepared to leave the station, both aliens made it clear that their respective governments would remember what had happened here. Humanity had demonstrated something that neither advanced magic nor superior technology had been able to achieve. Maya watched their shuttle depart from the same docking bay where she had first met them. It seemed like days had passed since then, but it had been less than 12 hours. She returned to her workshop, where the familiar tools and machines waited for her attention. The mining operation would resume normal activities the next day. There would be asteroids to process and equipment to maintain. It was exactly the kind of predictable, useful work that Maya preferred. But she knew that things had changed in ways she could not yet fully understand. The galaxy would remember the day a human engineer defeated an unstoppable predator with nothing but cleverness and determination. 3 days after the Vorthak attack, life on Epsilon 7 had returned to normal. The mining equipment hummed with its usual steady rhythm, and the crew went about their daily tasks as if nothing had happened. But Maya noticed small changes in how people looked at her. There was a new respect in their eyes, mixed with curiosity about what exactly had taken place in the lower levels. Maya was calibrating the ore processors when Captain Barnes approached her workstation. He carried a data pad and wore the expression of someone who had been dealing with complicated communications all morning. "Maya, I have been getting calls from all over the galaxy," Barnes said, setting the data pad down beside her tools. "News about what happened here has spread faster than I thought possible." Maya kept working on the calibration, not looking up from her instruments. "What kind of calls? Military recruiters, research institutions, even some governments," Barnes replied. "Everyone wants to know more about the human engineer who defeated an apex predator with mining equipment." Maya sighed and finally looked at her captain. "I hope you told them I am not interested." "I did, but that has not stopped them from asking," Barnes said with a slight smile. "There is even a journalist from the Galactic News Network who wants to interview you about human ingenuity and problem-solving." "Definitely not interested in that," Maya said firmly. She had seen what happened to people who became famous across the galaxy. Their lives stopped being their own. Barnes nodded, understanding her reluctance. "But Maya, you should know that what you did here has had some interesting effects. The Vorthak have pulled back their raiding operations in this entire sector. Word has spread that humans are more dangerous than anyone realized." Maya felt uncomfortable with that description. "I am not dangerous. I just solved a problem using the tools I had available." "That is exactly what makes it so impressive," Barnes said. "You did not need ancient magic or advanced weapons. You used your mind and some mining equipment to accomplish what entire fleets have failed to do." Later that evening, Maya received a personal message on her private communication channel. The caller identification showed that it came from the Celestial Courts, and when the holographic display activated, Lyralei's graceful form appeared in the air above Maya's desk. "Maya, I hope I am not disturbing you," Lyralei said. Her silver hair seemed to catch light that was not there, and her deep blue eyes looked thoughtful. "Not at all," Maya replied. "How are things in the Celestial Courts?" "Very interesting," Lyralei said with a smile. "I have been asked to give a full report about human capabilities to the High Council. Your actions have caused quite a stir among my people." Maya felt embarrassed again. "I still do not understand why everyone is making such a big deal about this." "Because you showed us something we had never considered before," Lyralei explained. For centuries, we elves have believed that magic was the ultimate form of power. We thought that anything truly important could only be accomplished through supernatural means. Maya waited for her to continue, sensing that the elf had something important to say. But you proved that intelligence and creativity can be just as powerful as any spell, Lyrelay said. You looked at a problem from a completely different angle and found a solution that none of us had imagined. That is a form of magic in itself, even if you do not call it that. Another call came through just as Maya was ending her conversation with Lyrelay. This time it was Zara, calling from what looked like a military command center. The Krillian warrior appeared tired but satisfied. Maya, I wanted you to know that my report has reached the highest levels of the Empire, Zara said without preamble. The military council has classified your tactical approach as a new form of asymmetric warfare. Maya shook her head. It was not warfare. It was just problem-solving. Perhaps, but the results speak for themselves, Zara replied. We have studied the Vorthak for years, trying to find ways to counter their apex predators. Our best weapons barely slow them down, and our most advanced tactics fail against their hunting abilities. Maya understood what Zara was getting at, but she still felt that people were reading too much into what had happened. You found their weakness in minutes and exploited it perfectly, Zara continued. That kind of analytical thinking combined with practical engineering skills is exactly what we need in our research divisions. I appreciate the offer, but my answer has not changed, Maya said politely. I prefer my current job. Zara nodded with respect. I understand, but know that the Krillian Empire considers humanity to be valuable allies. Your species has demonstrated capabilities that we had not anticipated. Over the following weeks, Maya received similar messages from dozens of different sources. Scientists wanted to study human problem-solving methods. Military leaders wanted to recruit human tactical advisors. Even some criminal organizations sent carefully worded messages suggesting that they could use someone with her particular talents. Maya declined all of them. She had found peace and purpose in her work on the mining station, and she was not willing to give that up for fame or fortune. But the galaxy had taken notice of humanity in a new way. The story of how a human engineer had defeated an unstoppable predator with improvised weapons became a legend that spread from system to system. Some versions of the story exaggerated the details, but the core message remained the same. Humans were resourceful and dangerous in ways that no one had expected. Captain Barnes showed Maya some of the intelligence reports that were crossing his desk. Pirate activity in human territory had dropped significantly. Several alien governments had upgraded their diplomatic relations with Earth. Trade opportunities that had been closed to humanity for decades were suddenly opening up. All because you figured out how to turn a mining laser into a weapon, Barnes said with amazement. Maya looked out through the reinforced windows of the station at the asteroid field where the mining drones continued their work. The view was peaceful and predictable, exactly the way she liked it. I just solved a problem, Maya said quietly. Everyone else decided what it meant. Months later, Maya was still working on Epsilon 7, still maintaining the mining equipment and processing ore from the surrounding asteroids. But she was no longer anonymous. Her name was known across the galaxy as the human who had proven that her species was not to be underestimated. Recruitment offers still arrived regularly, though less frequently than before. Maya had developed a standard response. She was honored by the interest, but she preferred her current position. What most people did not understand was that Maya had not been trying to make a statement about human capabilities or tactical thinking. She had simply been trying to protect herself and her new friends from a dangerous predator. The fact that her solution had wider implications was something she had not planned or intended. But Maya was beginning to realize that intent did not always matter as much as results. Whether she liked it or not, her actions had changed how the galaxy viewed humanity. Her species was no longer seen as a minor player in galactic affairs, but as a potential force to be respected and, when necessary, feared. Late at night, when the station was quiet and the mining equipment ran on automatic cycles, Maya sometimes wondered what would have happened if she had made different choices. What if she had accepted one of the military positions? What if she had agreed to become a celebrity spokesperson for human ingenuity? But those thoughts never lasted long. Maya had learned from experience that the simple path was usually the best one. She had her work, her tools, and the satisfaction of solving practical problems with practical solutions. The galaxy might see her as a symbol of human potential, but Maya knew what she really was. An engineer who had figured out how to make her equipment do something it was not designed to do. In her mind, that was accomplishment enough. The mining station continued its orbit around the asteroid field, and Maya returned to her calibration work. There would always be more problems to solve and more equipment to maintain. For her, that was exactly the kind of future she wanted.